Hi, and welcome to Culture Lit, a podcast and community that explores Black women and romantic love through the lens of romance novels. I'm your host, Octavia Marie. Each episode of Culture Lit trains a spotlight on a new Black romance novel and then deep dives into the many themes facing Black women and love after 40. Be ready to laugh, sigh, and talk about Black women falling in love, yes, sex too, and the Black authors writing their stories. Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Culture Lit. I'm your host, Octavia Marie, coming to you from Portugal, where I'm currently living out one of my biggest dreams. 2 months of slow travel, discovering new places, and falling deeper in love with my own company. Today's episode is about alignment. It's about those moments when something in the world mirrors exactly what you've been living and believing. It's about the courage to travel alone, to live fully at any age, and to trust that your dreams don't have expiration dates. We're also diving into one of the most emotionally devastating and beautifully written books I've read this year, August Lane by Regina Black. This book had me crying, cheering, and completely captivated by a love story that spans decades and cuts deep into the heart of what it means to forgive, to reclaim your power, and to love someone despite the ways they've broken you. But first, let me tell you about a moment of pure alignment that happened recently. When I heard Tracee Ellis Ross was doing a series on solo travel, I knew I had to watch it. Not just because I've loved her since Girlfriends, though let's be real, that show was everything. Not just because I think she's one of the most joyful, liberated women on this planet, though she absolutely is, but because years ago, while living and working in Los Angeles, I actually met her. I was working an event and had no idea who the guests were or who I was about to encounter. I was focused on my job, making sure everything ran smoothly, when suddenly there she was, Tracee Ellis Ross. I was quietly fangirling, of course. My inner teenager was screaming because this was Joan Clayton from Girlfriends, standing right in front of me. But I kept it professional because that's what the job required. I've worked with a lot of celebrities over the years. Some exceeded my expectations. Others, well, let's just say meeting your heroes can sometimes be disappointing. But that moment with Tracee stuck with me. Not because she was famous, but because she was exactly who I hoped she'd be. Kind, grounded, warm, genuinely funny. She had this energy that made everyone around her feel seen and valued. She wasn't performing being fabulous, she was just authentically, effortlessly herself. So when I saw her new series on Roku, Solo Travel with Tracee Ellis Ross, it didn't just feel like content I wanted to consume. It felt like alignment, like something I've lived, believed, and built my own life around. Watching her talk about discovering solo travel in her 20s brought me right back to my own early adventures. Back when I didn't have money, back when I didn't know what the future looked like, back when I had to trust that a flight deal and a good playlist were enough to carry me to places I'd only dreamed of seeing. Because let's be clear, I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't marry into money. I didn't have a rich family or a safety net to catch me if things went wrong. But I had curiosity burning in my chest. I had wanderlust in my DNA. And I had just enough faith to get on a plane and figure the rest out later. So when people dismiss solo travel with comments like, of course she can do that, she's rich, I want to challenge that narrative immediately. You don't need to be wealthy to explore. You don't need a 5-star itinerary to find peace, discovery, and transformation. You don't need anyone's permission to get to know yourself in a new place. You just need a moment of courage, a window of time, even if it's just a long weekend, and a little belief that something beautiful, something life-changing is waiting for you on the other side of that decision to go. I've traveled alone countless times as I've matured and evolved. I've sat at restaurant tables for one, initially feeling self-conscious, but eventually reveling in the freedom to savor my meal at my own pace, to people watch, to be fully present with my thoughts. I've cried on balconies in cities where no one knew my name, working through heartbreak or disappointment with the backdrop of unfamiliar skylines. There's something about being anonymous in your grief that allows you to feel it fully without judgment. I've met strangers who became sisters, women I connected with in coffee shops, on tours, in hotel lobbies. Conversations that started with, "Are you traveling alone too?" and blossomed into friendships that lasted long after we returned to our respective homes. I've walked into rooms feeling scared, uncertain, completely out of my comfort zone, and walked out feeling seen, confident, and proud of myself for showing up despite the fear. And that's exactly why I created this podcast and why I'm building the community I'm building. Because I know firsthand how healing it is to start by yourself and still end up surrounded by love, connection, and meaningful experiences. This trip I'm taking now, 2 months across Portugal, living like a local as I try to determine where I want to land next in this new chapter of my life, isn't about escape. It's not about running away from anything or avoiding responsibilities. It's about expansion. It's about reconnecting with parts of myself that get buried under daily routines and obligations. It's about choosing joy intentionally, purposefully. It's about making memories and having experiences I wouldn't have access to if I waited for someone else to be available, interested, or ready to join me. Because something profound shifts when you travel alone. You attract different kinds of conversations because you're more approachable, more open. You say yes to invitations and opportunities you might decline if you were worried about accommodating someone else's preferences or comfort level. You become a magnet for serendipity, for those magical moments that feel like the universe conspiring in your favor. And it's not because you're running from anything in your regular life, it's because you're finally arriving in your own life, in your own skin, in your own power. Whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, whether you're single by choice or by circumstance, whether you don't have kids by design or by life's unpredictable twists, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not missing out on the real life that everyone else seems to be living. You're just living life on a different rhythm. And that rhythm is valid, beautiful, and full of possibilities that attached people often can't access. Enjoy your own company. Genuinely, deeply enjoy it. Go where you want to go without negotiating, compromising, or waiting for consensus. Be the one who says yes to adventure, even if no one else can or wants to join you, especially if no one else joins you, because some of life's most transformative experiences happen in solitude. I'm in my mid-50s. My daughter is grown with a beautiful home of her own. I'm not married, and honestly, I'm not sure I want to be in the traditional sense. And I'm still chasing every dream God planted in my heart. I'm still growing into the woman I know I'm meant to become. And here's what I know deep in my bones. I can have my dream life, the partnership that supports my wildest ideas rather than trying to contain them. The friendships that don't need constant explanation or justification. The work that feeds my soul. The adventures that light me up. But I'm not waiting for those things to start living fully. I'm not putting my happiness, my growth, my joy on hold until all the pieces fall into place. Because if you're always waiting to feel ready, you'll miss the version of you that's already here. The one who's curious, brave, and open to joy. The one who's capable of creating magic right now, with what you have, where you are. You don't have to be rich to create a life that excites you. You just have to start. Even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if nobody applauds at first. And if you're worried it's too late for love, for adventure, for reinvention, for following your dreams, let me be your reminder that it's not. You're not too late for any of it. You're not too late to find yourself in a new city, on a quiet morning, with a perfect cup of coffee in hand, grateful that you finally chose yourself. That kind of wealth, the wealth of self-knowledge, self-love, and lived experience, that's something no one can take from you. Hey, romance book lovers. It's your host, Octavia Marie, and I've got something exciting to share with you. You already know how much I adore Black romance books. Now I have taken it to the next level. Introducing Culture Lit Podcast digital bookstore on bookshop.org. Visit bookshop.org/shop/Culture Lit Podcast. That's bookshop.org/shop/Culture Lit Podcast. This is the spot where you can find every swoon-worthy romance novel I've ever raved about on the podcast and so much more. Not only can you snag your next favorite read, but every purchase supports independent bookstores and celebrates the voices of Black authors in romance. It's a win-win for readers like us who love keeping the Black romance literary community thriving. Thank you for being a part of the Culture Lit Podcast community, and happy reading. I can't wait to hear what books you fall in love with next. Now, speaking of choosing yourself and second chances, let's talk about one of the books that's been keeping me company during my Portuguese adventure. There have been plenty of shenanigans and beautiful discoveries during this journey, and one of my latest reads perfectly captures the themes we've been exploring. August Lane by Regina Black absolutely destroyed me in the best possible way. Here's the setup. A Black country music star who built his career on a lie risks everything to reunite with the woman he stole a song from. A first love whose lyrics won't let him forget what he lost. Yes, please. This premise had me immediately invested. What you can expect from August Lane: a slow burn, dual timeline romance that will test your patience and reward it beautifully. Black love woven through country music culture, flawed, complex characters learning to love themselves before they can love each other. Rich depictions of historically Black towns and farms in the rural South. Songwriting as a love language and music as healing. A friends to almost lovers to he's her enemy, but she's his everything journey. Regina Black described this story as her love letter to all the invisible stories of Black people in the rural South, told through music, memories, and a slow burn, second chance romance that will absolutely break your heart before putting it back together again. Every character in this book walked onto the page fully formed, with their own story to tell, their own dreams to chase, and their own complicated path to love and forgiveness. I don't even have adequate words for this review because this story was raw, emotional, and deeply moving in ways I wasn't prepared for. I found myself tearing up and smiling, sometimes within the same chapter. I felt every single emotion right alongside these characters: their pain, their hope, their anger, their desperate love. This is fundamentally a story about forgiveness, not the easy kind, but the hard-won kind that requires you to reckon with betrayal, disappointment, and the ways people we love can wound us. It's about reclaiming your life after someone else has profited from your talents. It's about standing up for yourself even when it costs you everything. It's about doing what's right even when it's complicated and messy. Regina Black is an author everyone should be reading. I thought The Art of Scandal was incredible, but August Lane transcends even that excellence. What I particularly appreciated was how fearlessly Regina tackled the realities of the country music industry. Its racism, its refusal to take Black country artists seriously, the complex issues around song ownership and crediting writers, and how the industry systematically takes advantage of artists. I couldn't help but think of Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter and the resistance she faced, or Lil Nas X's Old Town Road controversy, or how the country music establishment has consistently whitewashed and ignored the foundational contributions of Black country music artists. This book doesn't shy away from those uncomfortable truths. The author also addresses child abuse, addiction, and alcoholism with sensitivity and realism, showing how trauma ripples through families and communities, but also how healing is possible. Honestly, I wish I could go back and experience this book for the first time again. I'm genuinely envious of anyone who's about to start August Lane fresh. At its core, this is a second chance romance and an absolute powerhouse of the genre. a slow-burning ember that's one breath away from blazing into an inferno. I'm a little frustrated that you're listening to me talk about this book instead of reading it right now. August was abandoned by her superstar mother, JoJo, raised by her grandmother, and betrayed by Luke Randall, the boy she loved. Luke stole a song they'd co-written together and became a country music star himself, building his entire career on their shared creation. Now, JoJo is being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and she's asked Luke to perform his signature hit as a duet in their hometown of Arcadia. Everything that was taken from August, recognition, royalties, credit for her art, is going to be displayed on that stage. Revenge is right there for the taking. One word from August about Luke having a co-writer, and his contracts, royalties, and sponsorships would disappear. His career would be over. Except August doesn't know the full story. She doesn't know that Luke has been sober for 5 years, fighting his own demons. She doesn't know that he's tired of watching his career decline while he hides his authentic voice behind radio-friendly production. She doesn't know that he sees his return to Arcadia as his chance to finally make things right. If she doesn't destroy his career, he's prepared to do it himself, for her. The angst in this book is absolutely glorious and devastating. Everyone is damaged in ways that can't be easily fixed. People do monstrous things to the ones they love most. This isn't the comfortable small-town country romance. This is the murder ballads, the rolling thunder, the long black road kind of country music emotion. What makes it so powerful is that both August and Luke are fully realized characters with legitimate grievances and understandable motivations. You can simultaneously want August to get her revenge and want Luke to find redemption. You can understand why she can't forgive him and why he can't stop loving her. The dual timeline structure allows us to see how their teenage love was real and deep, which makes the betrayal even more devastating and the possibility of reconciliation even more precious. Reading this book while I'm on my own solo adventure in Portugal has been particularly meaningful because both August and I are women who've had to learn to rely on ourselves, to find our own strength, to rebuild after disappointment. August's journey of reclaiming her power, her art, and her voice mirrors the kind of self-discovery that happens when you travel alone, when you're stripped of familiar context and have to figure out who you are without external validation or support. Both experiences, solo travel and reading about August's journey, remind me that we're capable of more resilience, more growth, more love than we give ourselves credit for. August Lane is a masterclass in storytelling, character development, and emotional complexity. It's a book that will stay with you long after you finish it, making you think about forgiveness, second chances, and the price we pay for our dreams. If you love romance that doesn't shy away from difficult emotions, if you appreciate books that tackle social issues with nuance, if you want to read about Black love in a setting you don't often see in romance, this book is essential. Regina Black has created something truly special here, and I can't recommend it highly enough. As I wrap up today's episode from my little Portuguese adventure, I want to leave you with this. Whether you're planning your first solo trip, reading a book that challenges you, or simply choosing to live fully in whatever circumstances you find yourself, trust the process. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be. Trust that your timeline is perfect for you. Trust that the courage to choose yourself, whether it's booking that solo trip, ending that relationship that isn't serving you, or simply reading books that expand your worldview, that courage is always rewarded. The alignment I felt watching Tracee Ellis Ross talk about solo travel, the emotions I experienced reading August Lane, the peace I'm finding in Portugal, none of it would be possible if I hadn't decided to prioritize my own growth and happiness. So go ahead, book the trip, read the book, choose yourself. The world is waiting for you to show up fully in your own life. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Culture Lit. Thank you for being part of this community that celebrates not just Black romance, but Black joy, Black independence, and Black women choosing themselves unapologetically. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share Culture Lit with someone who needs to hear these messages. And definitely add August Lane by Regina Black to your TBR. You won't regret it. Until next time, keep reading, keep traveling, whether that's across the world or just across your own inner landscape, and keep choosing yourself. Much love from Portugal. You've been listening to Culture Lit with Octavia Marie, and that's all for us this week. Be sure to listen, download, or subscribe to more episodes of Culture Lit. You can find Culture Lit on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Apple listeners, please be sure to leave a review and let us know what you think. Don't forget to talk to me on social or share your Black love stories at Becoming Octavia Marie on Instagram or XO Octavia Marie on Twitter.